And just when you thought you'd had enough of seeing my mug, you get a second round of it. Hi, hello, how you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome back to our Saturday edition of this thing we do. We call this Chattin On The Porch. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, we are on YouTube, that quaint little alternative social media platform. If you haven't done it yet, do me a favor, as always. Please send out the link, share it on Gettr, on Twitter, on Gab, on Truth Social, on Facebook, on Dancer, on Prancer, on Blitzen, on... Oh, wait, that's a whole different rhyme. Anyway, yes, we are here for the double header of our Saturday afternoon, and we're bringing back a really great guest. I can't wait to talk to him. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Looking forward to having all y'all here as we get together and hang out on a Saturday afternoon. Like I say, we are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, we are on YouTube. So, like I say, share the link, tell your friends to get in here. I have got an absolutely fabulous guest that I cannot wait to get down and talk with. This is going to be a whole lot of fun for everybody involved, and this will be a good time, and you do not want to miss out. So let me finish setting up everything I'm setting up. And I think I just figured out a new way to do something on my quaint little Ukrainian equipment that I use here. I think I kind of like this better. I'm starting to Jones on this thing. All right. Sounds good. All right. Anyway, we'll start dropping the volume on the music, bring in my friend, and we'll start gabbing for a little while. So anyway, as I say, we're on Rumble, we are on Twitter, we're on YouTube. We're glad you guys are here with us. Good to have you here on a Saturday afternoon. You know, you come across some people in social media and you realize very quickly that you really connect well and you have a lot of the same views. And even though sometimes there are moments you disagree, even in the disagreements, you're like, that's all right. We're going to have this person back on. We're going to have some fun. Well, that is my next guest, who is actually making his return to the electronic front porch. He is a social media content creator in his own right, commentator, and just an all-around really good guy. Folks, please welcome back to the electronic front porch, my friend Darius D. Simpson. Darius, how you doing, my sir?
I'm doing good, Brian. How you doing?
Oh, man, if I were any better, they'd have to bottle and sell me. Of course, depending on the place I work, they might be selling me anyway. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Now, they would
how you doing, friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Just enjoying a beautiful Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon now with my friend Brian.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How long has it been since you've been here? What, 2-3 months, 4 months?
Been that long already? It's June. Maybe about 3 months. Give or take around 3 months.
Wow, hasn't the world changed in 3 months?
I'm actually glad too, because I wanted to see how things was going to, turn out about a few months later after our first conversation.
Oh my goodness, absolutely, and our audience is absolutely glad to have you back, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun here today.
Hey,
so I got to ask you.
Yes,
and you have my apologies in advance, because why do I have a bad feeling I'm about to make your stomach turn when I even ask you this question? Did you watch the debate Thursday night?
I did. It was so embarrassing. I mean, part of it was cool, but the other part was garbage. I just couldn't believe this was happening in America.
Well, you're able to laugh and smile about it, which is part of the reason why I like having you on here, even in the midst of the ultimate, pardon my French, shit show. You're like, hey, this is still kind of funny. I can smile about this. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, like I told you backstage, I've been talking about this thing to the point my audience is probably like, will you please shut up? Let's hear it from somebody else's perspective. You saw this, you watched it, you're a smart guy. What do you think of the whole thing? You can take that any direction you want to go.
Okay, well, I thought, honestly, it's I think maybe a week or so ago when we was texting back or tweeting back and forth.
Yeah.
I honestly thought it was a 50-50 chance whether or not it would even take place, just because of the MO of the Democrat Party. They always like to run for cover, do false flags, all that kind of stuff. So, and everybody knew that Biden was really not up to par. That's all what it is. And then, of course, a lot of people thought that Trump was going to be going to prison or jail or maybe even house arrest. So I didn't think it was happening, but I thought it was a 50-50 chance. So when it happened, I have some friends of mine who was like, I ain't watching this stuff. I said, listen, I'm going to watch it because I want to see how Trump handles himself, because he can tamper down and be a little light when he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
He can really give. We all know he's an attack dog. So, but will he be measured? Will he be
That's a good word. That's a good word for it. Measured. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and be disciplined and maintain this composure, because the expectation was, and I was really pleasantly surprised at the moderators.
Yeah.
I thought Trump was going to be going against three people, the two
Mhm.
moderators and Joe Biden. So when I saw, as we continue to get through the program, I said, okay, they're gonna actually they're gonna let them conversate. For the most part, I saw it was pretty fair. So I have to give CNN their kudos from that
Yeah,
standpoint.
I agree with that.
But as I also tweeted to you, I thought, Joe Biden has this part of his character where he tries to pull off this Clint Eastwood impression.
Make my day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that look right there, folks. That's Biden.
So I'm like, okay, he gonna come out here try to be Mr. Spoof and try to make everybody's day or make my day. I mean, I'm like, okay, so I'm listening to this guy talk. That's a problem already. The first minute, that's one of the biggest complaints. Then I'm watching him listen to Trump, and Trump barely looked at the guy, which was probably pretty good, because had he looked at him, he probably would have said a few extra things. So I'm just watching. Overall, for me, I use the word epic. I think it was epic, even though it was really not an epic debate. Two competent candidates going after each other. I thought it was epic because it actually showed the world, not just America, but it showed the world what they're really dealing with. You got one person, in my opinion, foreign leaders do not want Trump back in office because they know what he stands for. We've seen the first 4 years, but we're watching America fault and wilt right before our very eyes. And Biden it's kind of like with the out with the old, in with the new type thing. Biden is what I witnessed was scary. It made America look weak, feeble, and on the brink of I mean, to me, the word is destruction. I mean, we just look pitiful. And I was embarrassed from that standpoint. We had part of me, a small part of me felt embarrassed, or I felt sorry for the guy. Part of it, very, very small part. But the other part was like, okay. And so the other part, lastly, real quick, why I'm laughing and enjoying myself is because I'm glad the people get to see for themselves, because this is not something you can just tell people. They have to see and hear for themselves. So there was a sense of relief from that standpoint. So that's in a short spiel. That's my take from it.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a whole bunch of good points that I hadn't even thought about or even touched on. Is that one? Yeah, I mean, Biden he's always had this to a certain degree, regardless of his age. This whole I'm the baddest cat walking the streets.
Yeah,
and don't mess with me because I will mess you up. Well, there comes a point when Clint Eastwood says, "Do you feel lucky?" Well, do you? And then when Clint Eastwood says, "Do you feel lucky?" Well, do you, punk? Well, Biden's at that stage. I can take you. I'll take you out back to the woodshed now. Just beat the crap out of you.
Right.
That was on full display the other night, among other things.
See his facial expressions.
Yeah. And you would think that a man who's been in public life for 50 years, the way Joe Biden has, and is moderately intelligent. I mean, my thoughts about Joe Biden are very well established, but he's got a modicum of intelligence. Okay.
Right.
You would think that Joe Biden would understand, okay, you have to look a certain way, not look at someone. Look, in other words, don't have your mouth hanging open. Don't look like, I mean, I kept saying during the debate, the split screen was doing Biden no favors whatsoever, because there's Trump standing there tall, erect. All right, 78 years old, granted, but tanned, rested, fully in control of himself, in control of his emotions. And there's Biden over there looking lost, confused. He's got that "get off my lawn, you crazy kids" look on his face.
Right.
I'm like, it's just, and I almost screamed this at one point in the live stream. I was like, Ruben, this is killing him. It's
Right.
just killing him.
Man.
You know.
No, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I know. I agree. I'm looking at this, and like I said, I was watching the entire debate because I wanted to see everything. I want to watch the body language. I want to hear the words and voice inflections. Biden really looked like, oh man, just a split screen. Just talking on that real quick for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the way he looked, the anger. I literally, in my opinion, I'm seeing hatred. He really did want to take Trump to the woodshed and take him behind, a couple of things. I'm like, are y'all seeing this? If Trump, once again, this is what people should pat Trump on the back or give him his kudos. Trump was very, very good. He could have really went after Biden, but then the narrative would have been he's going after an old senile man. He knew, and then on top of it, Biden had a cold, so he's going after a sick man who was not at his best and all this other stuff. No, maybe at one small point, Trump probably felt sorry for the guy, but even more so, I think Trump felt sorry for I think Trump felt even more sorry for the country though, because he, as a world leader, he knows other leaders, if they don't watch the entire debate, they're going to definitely see highlights from it, and they look and they see, when they see Biden, they see America. And so they're going to want to get their two cents in, or do whatever they're going to have to do before he gets out of office. Because I don't personally, I go on record saying that I don't believe Biden's going to win. But those clips when they was doing split screen, I was really surprised that CNN would even allow that. Unless, and my question is this: when I see those things going on, I go right back to that question. They were protecting Biden for over 3 years. Now it's open season. We need to replace him. 25th Amendment, or he's whatever. I mean, think about this for a minute too. Remember her who came out with the investigation?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And didn't he say that Biden was not, basically, that's not verbatim, but he wasn't competent enough to be questioned by any attorneys. He wasn't competent enough to be prosecuted. But he's competent enough to run a country.
The way that Robert Hur phrased that, and I mean, this is not exact, but it's pretty close. We would bring an indictment, but we don't think a jury would find him guilty on the grounds they would perceive him. And now this part's almost, quote, a well-intentioned old man with memory issues.
Exactly.
And when Hur dropped that phrase back in February in the report, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Democrats were like, he's a Republican appointed to the Justice Department. And everybody's like, you wanted him, you picked him, you knew what he was. What are you complaining about? It's like, what do you expect the guy to do?
Exactly.
And then the Democrats made it even worse for themselves in that, Hur and his attorneys, when they did that 2-day interview with Biden in October, they verbally recorded everything.
Right.
So the Republicans in Congress, either out of a genuine sense of trying to do oversight duty or for purely political reasons, said, okay, fine. Turn over the audio tapes. Let's hear it for ourselves. Justice Department blocked them on it.
Right. Justice
Department wouldn't give it over, to the point that the House finally said, well, we're going to hold the Attorney General in contempt. And they just made it worse by hiding it. And I tell you what, I haven't got it immediately at my fingertips, but Time Magazine did an interview with Biden, and I read excerpts from the interview on Front Porch Brunch a couple of Saturdays ago, 3 or 4 Saturdays ago. And literally, it was the exact transcript of the conversation. Darius, I am not kidding with what I'm about to say. I'm not exaggerating this. At various points, reading through some of his answers in that transcript, I'm literally pulling the camera back out and looking at the audience going, look, I like to think I'm a reasonably intelligent person. I cannot understand what he's saying. I can't do it. And no, I'm. If you can find this, it's Time Magazine who did it, and it was an interview. I want to say by 2 different reporters. They did 2 different. I won't say versions. Versions isn't the right word of it, but they did two different things. They did kind of like, let us tell you what the interview was about. In other words, just they're giving their overview of it. And then they printed the actual transcript of the interview, their questions, Biden's responses. And I, and I pulled up the transcript of the interview because I wanted to, because there were certain topics he was addressing, like Ukraine, Israel, et cetera. And I'm literally reading Biden's verbatim responses to these questions. And it was so bad. I'm looking at one point, I miniaturized the transcript and I maximized my face, which I can do through StreamYard. And literally, I'm looking at the audience going, I have no idea what he's trying to say here. Wow. It was that bad.
That's horrendous.
And Thursday night, everybody got to see it. And they ain't no putting the genie back in that bottle.
So you're saying you basically saw the exact same thing you read from the Time magazine transcript.
I saw it on display Thursday night. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the scary part, he had 10 days. He had 10 days to get ready for it.
See, that's what bothered me too. When we was talking about it before we started the program. 10 days. Why does a guy 50 years? He used to brag about his 50 years being in the Senate. Why a guy, and even some of his supporters, CNN anchors, so-called journalists, they would back him up, talk about he has so much experience. Why would it take you 10 days to have a discussion with a guy who has only 5 years now, somewhere, give or take, political experience?
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense to me. Once again, I like to do the comparisons. If this was Trump in the exact same situation, they would talk about this by him having to take this amount of time away from the cameras. He ain't even saying hi to anybody.
Yeah.
Him to take this amount of time away after having all this experience, all this time in political office. This signifies, and it should scare, even if you like Biden, okay, anybody who's watching us, if you like Biden, listen, that's your choice, but at least be effective. At least be fair. If this was Trump, you would be hating on Trump, saying he's not fair, he's not coherent, he's not cognitive. Because if you do this on national television, and then of course the interview that you talking about, Brian, with Time magazine, what does it look like behind closed doors when you with those world leaders?
Yeah.
Putin is not stupid. I know some folks don't like him. I am not a Putin supporter, but I'm a truther. Okay, so I give people. I'm fair. I like to believe I'm fair. When I've listened to some of Putin's, I hope this doesn't get us in trouble, Brian.
I don't care.
When I've listened to some of Putin's speeches, and I have, he sounds more like an American president, Christian American president to me. The way he can go down and he talked about history. That interview he had with Tucker.
Yeah, that interview was amazing.
It was fire to me.
Yeah.
I really walked away impressed. I was like, this guy sounds more presidential than our current president. So when I listen to that, we know Xi Jinping is very intelligent. I don't know about Macron. I don't know about Canada's prime minister either. I think they're part of the same club. But anyway, when I listen to them and I compare them to Joe, if Putin was on television sounding like this, our media would play it over and over.
Yeah.
And talk about how, because remember when he had that health challenge, he has cancer. He's behind closed doors. So when I look at all of that and I compare, I said, this is horrendous for us. This guy takes 10 days, and this is what he comes away with. Within his first 60 seconds, he's bumbling. He sounded like Clint Eastwood in a bad movie. And this is what we got to look for. Then I go through the rest of it, and I'm like, okay. And then the facial, I'm gonna let you jump in on this, but I'm really caught because when I saw the facial expressions that he was making, I saw pure hatred, Brian. I can't get away from that. This was.
Oh, it is no secret that Joe and Jill Biden cannot stand Donald Trump's ever-loving guts.
No.
I mean, I'm serious about this. I really do think if Joe Biden thought he could get Donald Trump alone in an alley and try and take a swing at him, he'd do it. I'm not kidding.
I agree with you.
I am not kidding. And Gypsy is flat on right. Every form, and you know, and I talked about another aspect of this morning. I mean, why in the name of God are we not invoking the 25th Amendment at this point?
That's the question, Brian. That's one of my biggest issues with the Republican Party. They're too slow doing stuff, just like with the Steve Bannon case, for example, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Why did Speaker Johnson, why did he wait until just this past week to look into that? He should have looked into that when they went after who was it?
Peter Navarro.
Why does he wait till now? So, in my opinion, from that standpoint, yes, it sounds political to me because the Republicans take too long to react. I get it. Justice, the real wheels of justice do move slow. They really do. Why? Because you got to get all your evidence together. You got to make sure you got all the right information. Make sure you find out the right people involved, witness, all that stuff. You got to get lined up because justice has to be just. So I get that part. But why do the Republicans? This is why when Trump first came on the scene, I was excited because number one, I already followed his career beforehand. I don't agree with everything he says and does, but I know what I like about him, and so we share certain values. I said this country needs a businessman to run it because this is a business. Now he's supposed to be the CEO of it, but this is a business. And all the money. Why does our government? I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place a little bit. Now,
no, that's fine. Do whatever you want, dude.
Why do we have always plans to spend? We have spendings, but never savings budget.
Great question.
No investment budget for the country. I don't hear Putin spending all his money, all the country's money on all other countries. I don't hear China's divesting. Well, they are doing some stuff, but they always investing for their best. But America, we keep giving to it. We destroy nations and rebuild them up, and these corporate companies, BlackRock, for example, going all over the place like they're doing in Ukraine, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And so our Republican side, until Trump, there was really nobody prominent person standing up fighting for it. That's what makes you mad. So why haven't they invoked the 25th Amendment? I saw a little bit of a headline today, I believe, that Speaker Johnson was talking about on Newsmax. I saw it talking about implementing or bringing up the 25th Amendment. But why did it take you this long? We've been watching this man supposedly cough. He had a cold, right? They said Thursday. Biden's been doing that for months. So now all of a sudden he got a cold because he's fixing to have a debate. Come on. Why are they playing us? It's because a lot of people, and I don't mean to sound critical, but I'm going to be critical.
That's fine.
A lot of people have allowed themselves to be played because what we want to do, the average American really wants to do is be hands off. We just want somebody to run the country. We want somebody to manage the finances. We want our army to do what they do. We want somebody. We don't want to get too involved unless we have to. We just want to just wake up, go to our jobs, take care of our families, go back to bed, and start the whole cycle over.
Yep.
And this is what they have been doing to us. They've been playing us, taking our trust and misusing and abusing it. And this is what we have to show for right now.
Yep.
That's what bothers me, Brian.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, the Republican Party before Donald Trump, even during Donald Trump, and even after Donald Trump, unless it is seriously reformed from the inside out, is otherwise a useless, feckless, toothless animal. 100. There's nothing about it that's politically effective.
No.
And it just, you've got a bunch of, from my perspective, you've got a bunch of people up there. Let me see what I can get, what I can, either for myself or for my district, and screw the country.
Right.
You know, there are a handful of people up there, to one degree or another, depending on the issue, are willing to fight. But by and large, as an institution, the Republican Party is a waste. And this is coming from a recovering Republican. You know, I'm not quite going to the meetings like I used to. Republicans Anonymous. Hi, my name is Brian, and I'm a former Republican. Hi, Brian. You know, I've been in recovery now since January 2021, which is true. That's when I left the Republican Party. The day Joe Biden was sworn in is the day I left the Republican Party.
I don't blame you either.
Yeah.
Dan, so,
No, go ahead.
so how did you get into? Let me ask you this real quick. How did you get into? I know the first time we talked, you kind of refreshed a little bit of my memory, but how did you get into politics, and why did you choose the Republican side?
I have loved politics since I was a kid. First of all, I love history.
Mm-hmm.
And probably in my teenage years is when I got the political bug. I used to surprise teachers with how many governors of different states that I knew about because of, whatever. I just loved it. Always did.
Yeah.
And as the years went by, I went to university. I got a government degree. I went to my master's program. I got a master's of public administration. So I've been in and around watching politics, being involved in it. I've volunteered in campaigns. I was a paid staffer on one campaign.
Uh-huh.
I've been watching politics most, if not all, my life. But this year, well, not even this year. Back that up.
Mm-hmm.
The past 8 years, 9. Let's call it 9. The past 9 years have caused me to tear up the unofficial rule book of American politics, because everything I think is going to happen or should apply, I've got to throw out the window.
Wow.
I mean, when it comes to, well, no, here's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
The Billy Bush tape comes out the weekend before, or maybe a day or two before the debate with Hillary Clinton in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The famous grab them by the woohoo. Under normal circumstances, that would kill a politician.
Mm-hmm.
Trump, and to his credit, Bannon, who was running his campaign at the time, they turned that whole issue around, invited Juanita Broderick, Paula Jones, and Jennifer Flowers to sit on the front row.
Wow.
And make sure that they were in eye shot of Bill Clinton. There's this one famous picture where Bill Clinton's looking side-eye and has a look of absolute terror on his face. Like he's looking like this. He's like this. So that's what I mean by, every rule of politics that I used to understand for 9 years has been getting torn up. I'm tearing whole pages out of the book, because every time I think this rule ought to apply, screw it. It's gone. It's done. It's gone. That, which always cracks me up when it comes to the Democrats. Trump's going to destroy all the political norms and customs and traditions of America. You guys are the ones doing it to stop him. Every time I turn around. And you're griping about Trump? Man. Holy cow.
Well, you keep that up, you won't have a book left. You have to write your own book.
Dude, I'm down to the inner liner pages on one side, and I'm down to the epilogue on the back end. There ain't nothing in between. This is how bad it is. If you're just joining us, folks, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. I am joined by content creator and commentator Darius D. Simpson. We're sitting around talking about whatever the heck hits our brains, and having just one good time doing it.
Yep.
So I heard about an article today. I didn't run this on my show, but I got to share this one with you.
Okay.
I'm going to drop this in chat, and if you want to pick this one up later, that's cool. I try and do this for my audience. I'm going to drop this on the YouTube side. It's from Axios, so I mean, it's not going to be that bad for you to get your hands on. But I heard about this, and some of the stuff in this article, I went, "You've got to be kidding me!"
Really?
Okay. This is from Alex Thompson. He writes for Axios, which Alex is, I mean, not that I know him personally, but I mean, he's a good writer. I mean, I've got no reason to hate on the guy. Might not agree with his politics, but he's a fairly decent reporter. The last 36 hours showcased two different Joe Bidens, the veteran president rallying voters in a swing state, and an 81-year-old man struggling to string through thoughts together in a debate. The public split screen isn't new to many inside the White House, where top aides, now listen to this, have meticulously managed minutiae such as Biden's sleep schedule, his orthopedic shoes, his walks to Marine One, and his climb aboard Air Force One to try and blunt the concerns about his age. Internally, many aides have seen flashes of absent-minded Biden, but typically brush them off as ordinary brain farts because they usually see him engaged, 8 current and former Biden officials said. But Thursday's debate has shattered the White House's efforts, and I agree with this statement, shattered their efforts to show Biden at his best. A president capable of serving until 2029 when he will be 86. In his debate with Trump, Biden often looked lost or slack-jawed, delivering meandering answers, yada, yada, yada. I mean, you're admitting to us that you're managing his sleep schedule.
A president?
You're telling him you're telling Joey when he gets to go to bed. Now think about this for a minute. 81-year-old grown man, you're telling Joey when he got to go to bed.
Right. I'd probably tell him to give him bathroom breaks too.
Apparently he's not listening to them because never mind, I'm being mean. Yeah, because we're starting to wonder about how quickly he can get to the necessary, because he might be doing certain things in his pants. Just saying.
Yeah.
I think Alex Thompson at Axios is absolutely right. The genie's out of the bottle, man, and you ain't gonna be able to put that thing back in.
No, you're not. And for those who are labeled conspiracy theory, and I always find it interesting that the truth gets labeled as a conspiracy theory since the 1960s when the CIA first coined the phrase. For when I recall, people have already known this about Joe. There have been issues for years. Problem is, it's been escalating for the past going on 4 years, and so a lot of people feel vindicated. I think. I mean, let's take this part real quick.
Okay.
Trump says over the border, you're going to be sending in prisoners, gangbangers, murderers, rapists. They call Trump, and this is during the 2020 election when he was preparing for the 2020, and they call him racist. They say Trump doesn't like the dreamers. He hates Mexicans. He calls all of them rapists in this. Now, my question is he's a president. He's obviously getting intelligence information that the public are unaware of.
Yeah.
The media is unaware of.
Yeah.
So could it be that he knew, based on supposedly the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, whomever he's getting his intelligence information from, could it be he saw these reports and was trying to warn the people? It wasn't just political points. Then we fast forward 2 years, on up to 3 years, because it did really start showing the criminality really didn't element of it did not start showing until over the last year, and even more so for the last 6 months. Trump was right.
Yeah.
I think I put some on my channel before about some of the videos, some of the talking points, some of the campaign promises that he and Biden was running on. And this was part of it. And what are we seeing now? And people have to be, this is why it's important. I was talking to somebody today. They don't like getting into politics and have those discussions because it can become very confrontational. It depends on who you're talking to, but that is true. Yeah. It's a very hot topic. And she was telling me, I don't mind talking about it and having a balanced conversation. But she said that one of the places she worked at, I won't name the business, but one of the places she worked at, she walked into the break room, co-workers were having a discussion, and it was about politics, about Trump, about Biden. And most of the people in there, of course, were anti-Trumpers. That's fine. That's your choice.
Yeah, it's fine.
So she walks in, they say, okay, what do you believe? Who you voted for? And she says, why? So she probes and asks a few questions before she gives her answer, and they tell her. And she said, well, I'm voting for Trump. And boy, you could just see the fireworks. Why this and why that and this and that. When you fast forward a number of years and you see what we are now, people forget these talking points, things that you and I are talking about, some other people are talking about. We already knew in advance, a lot of it, not everything, but a lot of it, where we are at, as a country right now. It was foreseen, it was foretold. Now, going back to your other point about the Democrats, how they constantly project. They keep telling us everything that they have been doing is what Trump is going to do. Borders, World War III under Trump presidency, the economy, we're going to end up in a recession or depression. Everything that we're seeing right now under the Biden administration, they projected onto Trump, and they're telling us, and I believe you said at the top of the hour, They said Trump was going to do this and Trump was going to do that. The Democrat side, they are doing it. They are attacking anybody who do not agree with their narrative.
Yeah.
They're telling us right before our eyes, do not listen, do not pay attention to your lying eyes. They're telling us this to our face. Well, Thursday night was one of those occasions where people are not going to just shut up and not pay.
No, that's just it. I mean, I think that in part that's one of the reasons why CNN was so adamant to make sure that YouTubers and people on Rumble or etc. You're not going to do live commentary on this stream. You're not going to do that. And to their credit, Tim Pool, Crowder, Alex Jones. I mean, big time names, small time names, and everybody in between was like, you can go to blazes with that idea. This is fair use, and we're going to say. Let me get some quick comments in from the Rumble side because I can't necessarily highlight it over there. See, yeah, WWG1, hello, and howdy. Some say they needed 7 days to get his body clock reset so he stays awake during the debate. Yeah, I've heard the same thing too. Used to blame the dog. It was really Joe. Well, that's not wrong either.
I like that.
Marion Holtzman. I don't think I've seen you in a while. President Trump issued a warning to world leaders not to try anything funny in the next 5 months while we are in the transition period. I hope they listen or we're going to get World War III. Yeah, TBA says 70 plus million people saw Biden that the mainstream media has been hiding for 4 years. And I want to address this to Gypsy. You're absolutely right. They've all known since 2020, going back to that article in Axios. I was thinking about this the other day. Do you know who the first person was that brought up Biden's cognitive decline? See if you can take a guess on this one. Let me find it.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me find his exact title because he used to. Interestingly, yeah, here it is. I knew it. Yeah, I was right. Julian Castro. Now, if you don't know who that name is, I'll throw this up here real fast.
Okay.
Julian Castro's a Democrat.
Oh,
Julian Castro was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under Barack Obama. This was in 2019 when he did this. He was running for president briefly. It didn't get anywhere, obviously. And he brought it up to anybody who'd listen to him. Hey, what the heck is wrong with Joe Biden? This guy, something's wrong with him. And people were like, oh, no, Joe's fine. I mean, Democrats were like poo-pooing it. No. You don't know what you're talking about, youngster. Hush your mouth and, mind your place. And he's like, you guys are crazy. He's not right. And, the Democrats had the advantage of the COVID pandemic. They kept Biden off site. They kept him in his house. The famous joke about he's campaigning out of his basement. That wasn't necessarily an incorrect statement.
No.
But once he got in the White House, you can't run the country from the basement of the White House. You're going to be on camera.
Right.
And it's like I said today earlier on the live stream I was doing this morning that I regularly do. It doesn't matter if for the next 4 months, every day he performs like he did at Raleigh. Two things are going to happen. Number one, everybody's going to look at him and go, wow, I wonder what kind of drugs they've got him on because whatever cocktail they're putting in him is really working this time.
Right.
And the second thing is, if every day he acts like Raleigh, North Carolina Joe Biden, then it's going to totally undercut the current argument right now. Well, Joe had a bad night and, he was just, everybody, look, Barack Obama had a bad night. Reagan had a bad night,
Right.
Okay. So you expect a guy to bounce back from a bad night.
Right.
You expect him to, do good for a little while or whatever.
Right.
But to never have a bad night again for the next 4 months at the age and physical condition he is, everybody's going to look at that and go, we know you've got him on something. We just can't figure out what it is. This genie's out of the bottle. There ain't no going back with it.
That's why I love your segments, Brian. I love the humor you bring.
Yeah. Hey, Marion Holtzman on the Rumble side just dropped in that transcript of that Time magazine interview. Darius, I'm putting this in the YouTube chat for you, brother.
Okay.
If you want to pick this up, I'm telling you, you've got to read the transcript of that interview because it's going to absolutely just, you're going to sit there and shake your head and go, what is wrong with this man? Just, well, I know. Well, no, well, people forget this. That man has survived 2 brain aneurysms. Most people don't remember, and I don't even remember it that often.
I
But
didn't know you
yeah,
had aneurysms. When was this?
oh, this was either the mid to late 90s or the early 2000s
Okay.
where he had surgeries for these. And I'm not saying that may or may not necessarily be part of what he's going through now, but yeah, he's not. This man is not in good health. I don't care what he says.
Well, I mean, you can probably, in today's world, since they're labeling murderers and violent offenders as mentally, what do you call it, mental health issues.
Yeah.
I think Biden has mental health issues because he also is a compulsive liar.
Oh, geez. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's been that way for years, even before his health problems.
So, but no, I mean, both those. I'm gonna check out that Time magazine.
Okay.
And what's her name again?
Marion Holtzman. She dropped it in chat. I just dropped it on the YouTube side. The link is there, so if it'll help you out, if you want to grab that later or whatever, feel free, dude.
Thank you, Marion.
Yeah,
I'm gonna definitely check those out. And that Alex Simpson article you just posted too, that was good. I'm honestly, I won't say I'm shocked right now, just because I can see the handwriting on the wall, basically. But I'm astonished they let Alex Thompson put an article out like that, because they remember just the other day the Supreme Court had one of their most terrible rulings about censorship. They've just announced, for example, that it's okay. I'm paraphrasing. It's okay for the presidential administration or Biden's administration to give it platforms and censor certain voices or certain types of content. So I'm surprised or astonished that Alex was able to put that up. I'm so astonished that CNN is coming out saying the things they are, MSNBC. I mean, what I'm seeing happen, though, is this is what's going to happen, is the game plan is if Biden wins, the conditions have already been set for him to be replaced. Like I said, I thought they can do it.
I agree with that.
So the fact that they let you, because you can hate on Trump all you want to, yeah, I haven't heard of anybody getting censored or banned or blocked on any platform. And I'm talking, you can go back to, I don't know if it's 2016 when Johnny Depp and what's her name, that famous
Amber Heard.
You have Amber Heard. What I'm thinking about is when they was talking about blowing up the White House and assassinating the sitting president. Remember that? Johnny
Madonna.
Depp?
Madonna.
Oh yes, yeah, Madonna.
Madonna.
I've long thought of something to that effect about blowing up the White House. Now, if somebody on the right says something like that, you go into jail. Period.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking at is now the conditions have been set. What everybody around the world has seen with Joe Biden in this debate. What we are also witnessing is them about to replace him. So, do you think it's going to be Gavin Newsom? Matter of fact, I'm going to ask you that question. Who do you think, if they do, who do you think they will replace him with? And do you think it'll be before or after the election if they win?
It's funny you asked me this question because this is another angle of that 2-hour rant I went on this morning talking about the debate, which I know my audience is like, oh, for the love of God, thank God you had your guest showed up at 12:30. You finally shut up about it. No, my audience loves me. They'd never say that to me. Although there are times they ought to. They'll be like, will you please get off this topic? And I'm like, that's my show. I get to talk about whatever I want.
Hey, real talk.
I told everybody this morning. I have been of two minds on this question because there's most of me is in the camp of they can't do it. When I say can't, I mean practically they can't do it. Politically, they can't do it. They're stuck with him. On the other hand, after what I saw Thursday night, and I said this after the debate was over. I said, I'm now convinced this is a real strong possibility that he's going to be forced off the ticket.
Wow.
Now, I could be absolutely dead wrong, because immediately the next morning, the White House was saying, nope, Joe Biden's staying in the race. He's not getting out. We're looking forward to the next debate, yada, yada, yada. I think if this happens, it's got to happen between now and the beginning of August. Okay. And the reason being is the Ohio deadline. In order to get either Biden or the Democrat nominee on the ballot, they've got to certify. The Democrat Party has to certify their nominee before August the 7th.
Okay.
That's the deadline to make the ballot in the state of Ohio. So if they're going to do it, they've got to do it before the Ohio deadline. If this happens, I think Biden will be off the ticket before they go to the convention. They'll do it before August. They're not going to wait till after the election's over, because they can't run the risk that Biden could lose to Trump. They can't run that risk. Because if Trump wins, I'm not going to say he's going to undo everything the deep state's done in the past 4 years plus, but he's going to take a pretty good chunk out of it, because this time Trump goes in knowing full well what these people are.
Exactly. Okay? So he's coming with a sledgehammer.
So if Biden is taken out, it will be before the beginning of August.
Okay.
Who do they replace him with? Well, this comes. Here comes the reason why I say practically they can't take him out. I don't know if you follow Richard Barris on social media, but he's referred to as the People's Pundit. He's a pollster and a very transparent one. He's great. He's got a show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 noon called Inside the Numbers.
Richard Barris. Okay.
Yeah, Baris. Barris is probably one of the most accurate pollsters in America, aside from just being completely honest with his opinions. Okay. He's like, look, I could tell you what you want to hear, but the numbers are the numbers, like them or not.
I like it.
Yeah. And that's part of what, I mean, I told him, I had the opportunity to interview him one time. He's just refreshingly honest. And I told him that. The problem the Democrats have got, and because he's done polling on this himself. Joe Biden, as badly as he's doing against Donald Trump right now, is the best thing the Democrats have got. It doesn't matter if you plug in Kamala Harris. It doesn't matter if you plug in Gavin Newsom. There are two Democrats that I think could pull this off. One of them, and Gypsy knows her better than anybody else, Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. Oh, I know, the Wicked Witch of the Midwest. I agree.
Yeah.
And then Governor, and it's a Democrat that's absolutely flying under the radar right now, but he could do it. Jared Polis of Colorado.
Is that the African American gentleman?
No.
Okay. I heard somebody else. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, no, he's white governor out of Colorado. He could do it. He's just got that kind of sensibility to him. Now, how much the Republicans would, turn up the heat on him, who knows?
What's his name again?
Polis, Poulos, I believe is the spelling of his name.
Okay.
Or it's Polous, one of the two. Okay. Either one of them could do it. Neither one of them is probably going to get the nomination if Biden volunteers to come off the ticket, which he can't. He can't do it.
Because he's come too far.
Well, it's not just that. But I mean, we were listening to a couple of clips from Barris' show, and Sean Parnell, who's another content creator, brought up a great point. You got Hunter Biden hanging out there in the breeze. If Joe, because remember, Hunter's got a tax trial coming up starting in September out in California. If that trial extends past January and Daddy's not there to pardon him, Hunter going up the river.
Real tough.
Okay. On the other hand, if you're Daddy, do you want Hunter to realize, oh crap, Daddy can't bail me out. I don't like Daddy. I'm going to sing like a canary.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. I mean, because remember, Hunter is any number of different things in this family, but he's the front man and the bag man, which means any money that's gone to Joe, Hunter would be intimately acquainted with how it worked.
Right. Oh, wow.
I mean, even in the midst of that cocaine-addled brain of his, he's got all the knowledge of how the family operation works.
Man.
Now, people are going to say, well, you're being conspiratorial about this. There's no proof that Hunter Biden funneled money to his dad. Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Joe, practically speaking, he's got to run for re-election to protect himself, to protect Hunter, to protect his brother James, the whole dad blame Biden family in this case. They're on the hook. Wow. They've got to win this election.
They got so much on the line.
Exactly. Legally, financially, politically. I mean, it's not just the Democrat Party Joe's carrying the water for here. He's carrying the water for the Biden family that's been milking this operation for the past 40 years.
Wow.
You know.
Man,
so is he going to volunteer to come off the ticket?
No.
I don't think so. Now, the Democrats, there may be a bunch of Democrats that want to see him do it, but I don't think they can. You know, that's why yeah. Hey, Gypsy sent me something. I want to get your take on this. I guess there was a watch party. I'm not sure if this was Univision or UNINO. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a Spanish network. And I'm going to pull this up. I want you to take a look at this and get your take on it.
Okay.
This post on Twitter is by, let me get over here real quick. Hang on. Matt Barito, who is co-founder of BSP Research, professor at UCLA, and he tweeted the following: if you haven't been watching the Univision FG of undecided Latino voters, nearly every single undecided voter said they now support Biden, not Trump. Latinos were watching and listening, and Trump sounded like a crazy liar. Watch this video clip. All right. Tell me what you think of this. I mean, because you're down in Texas. You're talking to different people. Check this out. Tell me what you think.
Fue el tema que más acaparó su atención en este debate. El hecho de que el señor
you know Spanish?
En cuanto a que es el peor precedente que Afganistán, pero no contesta, no dice.
Do you have a translation or?
No, they do not, unfortunately. Okay, but going back to the post itself, the Latinos are now switching over to Biden after the debate. I mean, okay, I'll give you my take, and then I'll let you. I cannot see this happening.
Me neither.
I just can't. Now, and go ahead, and give me your reasons.
No, I mean, now in my opinion, you're disrespecting the Latinos. I mean, they're the Spanish community, Latino community, however they go, whatever they go by, actually have huge problems with the border by itself. Why? Because a lot of them came over here legally. I remember just a few years ago after Biden got in office, friend of mine, co-worker, we became friends. She had gotten her green card. She came over legally. She talked about her family legally. She was at the base of at the point of tears. Just like I said, 2-3 years ago, she was at the point of tears, telling me she's seeing these illegals come over here driving around in navigators and stuff like that, getting money off of the getting government support, while she had to go to school. She had to get her green card and all that, do it the legal way. She went to school, made something of herself, working in very good, excellent industry, banking industry. And she did very well for herself, training her kids right. She married and all that. And she was very upset because these people were coming over here and being allowed to do things illegally and benefit illegally. So some of the most intelligent people, in my opinion, are Hispanic people, especially when you come from across the border where you lived under a communist or socialistic like environments. And so when you come over here and you see, I remember when I traveled to Florida a few years ago, there was a gentleman here, I want to say he was from Cuba. He lost everything, Brian. When he spoke out against, he had a construction business. He spoke out against the government at that time in his country. He had to leave his family behind, his construction business behind, money behind to come over here to the States. Okay.
Wow.
So I can, and he's talking, we just had a casual conversation. He came up with it talking about how he did not like the Biden administration because he saw what they were doing, because they saw the same thing happening over here that had already happened over there. So when I listen to them, and maybe one day I'm gonna have to do a man on the street type thing, and next time we get a chance to get together, I'm gonna have to set some up and do that and talk to some people and see if I can get their stuff like that. Because you actually bring a great point. I'm about to do that because so we can hear from them for themselves.
Yeah.
Because I do not believe you're gonna. Let me say this way real quick. You're gonna always find a section or a group of people, 500 people, one person or 500 people, who's always gonna divert from the group mentality. I get that. Okay, so everybody is not gonna always go the right way. No more than everybody else going to go the wrong way. So is it possible you have a small group of people who says, man, I saw this debate and I'm just convinced, I don't know how, but I'm just convinced that Biden was the better candidate here. Unless you getting paid, it's got to be a benefit to you. Yep. So unless you just strongly, depending on the media you've been watching, you really hate Trump. And up to this point, you hadn't seen nothing positive about Trump. And then you see this debate. I don't see the rationale personally. So I don't know who they talk to, but I'm not surprised you can find a small group of people who feel that way.
Yeah, Gypsy found a translated version of this. I'm going to put this back up on screen, and then I'll give you my take on the whole thing. So,
Gypsy.
All right, absolutely. All right, here we go with this. It runs about 50 seconds. And here we go. What was the topic that caught your attention the most in this debate? The gentleman says the fact that Donald Trump only forces the same to say the same, only forces the same to say the same. In terms of that, he is the worst president than Afghanistan, but he does not answer. He does not say what I'm going to do to mediate things. Mr. Biden, even though he is a little bit slow when talking, that's being generous. We know that you have a lot of modesty, that you are very great, but in any case, the man did explain what they were doing and what they are still doing because he is still president. After being indecisive for a while, I think I'm going to go for President Biden. Okay, all right. Here's my take on it for what it's worth. TBA saying, ringer. Okay. I cannot see the Hispanic community, after watching that debate, coming away with anything that even makes them want to vote for Joe Biden. Okay. All right. Could I see some individuals have that gentleman's take? Yeah, I could see that. I could see, because Trump did something that is a classic move in a presidential debate. You got a question you don't want to answer? Simple. You don't answer it, and you answer with the answer you want to give on whatever subject happens to be you want to talk about.
Right.
That's standard tactics. Okay.
Right.
They say, well, he deflected. He didn't answer the question. Well, he didn't want to answer the question. That's part of being a politician. Sorry. Getting back to my point, the Hispanic community, and look, you're from Texas. You see this more than I do. The Hispanic community is all about tough. The Hispanic community is all about, standing up for your women and your children and your whatever. Okay. Mm-hmm. I just cannot see, and I'm not saying that the Spanish community despises weakness. Look, if it's their elders or their family, they respect their old.
Right.
But I don't think they want to see that sort of weakness in a man who is supposed to be a leader. Okay. Now, again, if I'm wrong, tell me. Okay. But to me, that's how I perceive the Hispanic community. I just can't see the Hispanic community after Thursday night all of a sudden just going, Biden, we love you. I just can't see it happening. I really can't. It just makes no sense to me.
No, I'm with you 100%. I don't know any of them if they are. But the community as a whole, no, I disagree 100%.
Yeah.
The like I said, a handful of people, you're always going to have that in the community, just like in the black community, for example.
Yep.
When I make certain comments on responded to somebody else's video, and I'm making comments, responding to other comments, I have had some people call me coon or whatever the case may be. And so sometimes I defend myself and give them a different point. Other times, if I'm able to, I'll go and send them videos. There's a video called Hillary's America that Dinesh D'Souza produced.
Yeah.
A number of years ago.
And I remember.
Yeah, it's one of the best videos on the subject. And you think it's totally about Hillary, but no, he goes back and give us history about the Democratic Party, period. Yeah. So that's really the racist party. But again, if you control the microphone, you're gonna be able to control what is said. And so they're the gatekeepers to the gatekeepers to people's ears and to people's eyes. So, but if you actually had a system of complete fairness, let's be honest, none of this is fair. If this was straight down the middle, and you could let Trump be Trump, and the media is completely unbiased. They report on Trump and they report on Biden. They report on the Republican Party. They report on the Democrat Party. Unbiased. This is just true journalism. Forget people's personalities. When you're doing your job, you can have a different opinion, but when you're doing your job, it's promote, and you are letting the people, your audience, decide for themselves, not you trying to control the information. Different ball game. So once again, with some of the people in this audience that you just showed, if you have some people who feel that way, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked by it. But as a community, I disagree.
Yeah. Yeah, Carol Swain was in that movie. I mean, I think I know the exact movie you're talking about, and it's been forever since I've seen it, but it was good then. I mean, D'Souza does a fantastic job.
I'll send it to you if you want it.
Yeah, send it to me. Yeah, let me ask you a question. Because you're talking to all kinds of people in all kinds of places and all kinds of communities. How much do you think the minds, I mean, and again, we've got 330 million people in this country, 70 million plus tuned in to watch this thing. So you got a good, 3/4 of the country didn't see this thing. Okay. Right. But of the people that watch this, and maybe they were either thinking about Biden, on the fence for Biden, or just flat out neutral, how much do you think this debate moved the needle?
I would say not much.
Okay.
Because there's some people already made their decisions. They've already seen bumbling Biden. So this was not. I mean, I don't know the percentages of undecided people that we had, such as what you just showed in that video. But generally speaking, I think it helped affirm some people's positions.
Yeah.
I think it definitely heightened the awareness of some of the people who's on the Democratic side of it. They was concerned, again, Trump didn't do enough. No matter if you don't like a person, nothing they do is going to change your persuade you. So I think a lot of people have already made their decision for the most part. Then you have some people who are just disconnected. They're tired of the conversation itself, period. So, but do I think it moved the needle a whole lot? No. But I do see that the medias, they're going to definitely do a big job to help to try to sway voters by saying, okay, we're going to bring in someone who's going to be better. So they're trying to keep what they have. Grant you that. But personally, I don't think they moved a lot.
I could see that being true. I could. But going back, you just brought up a fabulous point about the media. For 5+ years, they have covered for this guy. They have done everything they can to tell the American people, hey, he's fine. Occasionally has I love the way Alex Thompson described it. He's got the occasional brain fart, stuff happens, but otherwise, yeah, he's perfectly fine. He's normal. He's great. Stuck him on. And here's the other part about the debate that was talking about this morning. This was about like two guys in a gym playing basketball, playing to a game of 10, must win by 2, and Trump spotted Biden 5 points. Trump still beat him.
Trump still beat him.
Yeah.
Hands down.
He had every advantage going into that debate and still couldn't pull it off. And now And here's the question, and this is a question that I've had for a while. It's been quite obvious that the American people have little to no trust in anything that comes out of the mouth of the media.
Right.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. A significant percentage of the American people have no trust.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I agree.
I think after Thursday night, I'm not going to say their credibility is totally destroyed, but places like the New York Times, the Post, the three major networks, MSNBC, CNN, anybody else, no one's really going to believe them much anymore when it comes to reporting on not just Biden, but any number of different things. I mean, I'm not saying they're done. I'm not saying their goose is totally cooked. But this is just one more nail in the casket of the institutional media. Because it's like the American people watch this hour and a half debacle, and that's probably putting it kindly.
Yeah.
Watch this hour and a half debacle, and they're sitting there looking at the media going, let's see now, how many times did you tell me that Joe doesn't have a problem, that Joe's fine, that, you know, the country's leadership is secure, we're okay, he's on top of everything, you know, da-da-da-da-da. How many times you tell me this? In how many different ways?
Right.
Now, which one of you guys were saying that? You know, it just, I really do. I really think that they talk about a kick in the teeth to your credibility. It's bad. Just bad.
I'm glad you brought that up because I definitely agree on that, because for intelligent-minded people, again, and I'm gonna say, you know, some people say, you know, all Dems are stupid. I disagree with that. You have good people, intelligent people on all sides in that case. But for these intelligent people, I mean, you have billionaires, Democratic billionaires, who are coming out in support of Trump now because they see the handwriting on the wall. So I do believe there's a number of people, even though the decisions have been made now, but I do agree there's a number of people who are now starting to question. Why? Because it's like the frog in the boiling pot example we've talked about before. Everybody's pain point is different. So for some people, things have to drag out and get even worse and more worse and more worse before their eyes are open, and they're willing to reconsider their positions or whatever. The media, largely again on that side of the aisle, the media has really put themselves in a bad position. Somebody the other night, I was watching several different videos last night. One of the faces they brought up, one of the personalities, is Joe Scarborough of the Morning Joe show on
God.
He was up there. He is so disrespectful. If he ain't careful, he's gonna run across the wrong person who's gonna do a little bit more than talk to him. But,
why? What do you think's going to happen, Darius?
They might be watching this. I won't say.
All right.
Let's just say it won't be a whole lot of words. But he was one of the ones talking about how stupid people are basically if they think that Joe Biden, I mean, he said this is the best version of Joe Biden.
I heard that. I absolutely heard that. Yeah.
I'm like, what are you watching? We can go clip after clip after clip of every gaffe, and just when he's doing regular pressers or giving speeches, wherever. And you want to sit here and insult my intelligence. If I wanted to consider voting for Joe Biden myself, people like Joe Scarborough would turn me off after seeing this. Because here you go. Yeah. You hear them this is before pre-debate, post-debate. Yeah. And they listen to this noise. Joe Biden, this is his worst night, and we ain't changed something to the effect. He was telling his wife, Mika, that you know, she was basically trying to shut down some of the haters and this and that. So he basically was trying to sit there correcting her. Basically, we're not changing our position. We're not changing our position, basically. And I'm listening to this. I'm like, you guys sit here and you come out, you talk about your viewers as if they're children. You talk to them as if they're children and as if you have to be the arbiters of truth for them. Yeah. I would be totally disrespected. I'm totally disrespected on behalf of his viewers because they sit there and they lie. I agree with you 100%, Brian. Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, I had the numbers on it, but the trust in the media as a whole is at an all-time low.
Yeah. Yeah. They no longer have the credibility like a Walter Cronkite back in the day to look at the get to the end of your broadcast, say, and that's the news. The understood message in that statement is, this is the news, and we're telling you what's important for you to know. They don't have that kind of credibility anymore. There is nobody in mainstream media that has that. And I agree with you. Talk about demeaning, insulting. I mean, I understand the argument that says, let's make things easy for people to understand.
Right.
That's one thing.
Right.
It's another thing altogether when you talk down to them as if they're stupid and you insult their intelligence by saying, oh no, what you see with your own eyes. No, that's not really what's happening. Let me tell you what happened. But I can see it with my own eyes. But that's not what's really happening. But I can see it with my own, but I can see it with my own eyes. Why are you trying to tell me? Why are you trying to tell me that which I see with my own eyes is not what's really the truth? And Gypsy does bring up an interesting point about Joe Scarborough. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. This goes back to his days in the Congress. Let me get in some quick Rumble chats over here real fast while you're pulling yourself up off the floor from chuckling at that little. WWG1 says it's called what the Democrats and the media are doing is called gaslighting. TBA says CNN outed the whole mainstream media complex as liars and water carriers for the Democrat Party. I do not disagree with that at all. Let's see what else have we got here. WWG1 says they want you to think that you are crazy, like a lone voice in the wilderness. Well, considering who I'd be keeping company with if I take the media out in the wilderness with me, I'd rather be alone. Let's see what else we got here. TBA also says Morning Joe told his audience they should only get their opinions. I remember that comment from Mika. I will never forget the day she looked at everybody watching their show and said, you should only get your information from she didn't use the words mainstream media, but that's more or less what it comes down to. Right. You should only get your information from credible sources. Yep. Then I'm going to stop watching you. That's for daggone sure, lady.
Yep.
WG1 says, I didn't like Cronkite. I didn't like it when Cronkite said that. All the news you need to know. I find that statement insulting. Well, okay, early form of insult, but that's true. Mm-hmm. It just, there is, like I say, there's a million and one angles to consider when it comes to this debate the other night. But who was I watching this morning? Yeah. It was a clip from MSNBC, Bob Woodward from the Washington Post. Guy's been around forever and a day. Mm-hmm. The way he described what happened Thursday night, he said, this was like a hydrogen bomb going off inside the Democrat Party. Oh. And I thought, I really can't disagree with that assessment. I really can't. Because, the mad scramble that's going on right now, the cope, the everything else, it's just like, it is just insane what's happening right now. And like I said, I don't think you put the genie back in the bottle. Whether it means Joe Biden's off the ticket come August, like I said, I don't think it's going to happen, but I could see the Democrats doing everything they can to try and make it happen.
I agree. And see, I put it on I don't know if you believe in this. You believe in false flags?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I put this on my Twitter yesterday. I just went, I responded to somebody about the debate, so I just went ahead and put it out there and posted. Get ready for some false flags. What they're going to be, I don't know. But I do know they are very good using the media for cover, for example. They go from story to story. What happens is you had this bad debate. So what they want to do is they're going to try to shift people's focus, which they are very good at doing.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the people's focus from what just happened here, they're going to say, okay, look at this and look at that. And before you know it, a week goes by and people say, oh, the debate, okay, they don't want to talk about it no more. This is what's about to happen, because that's just their MO. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this is going to get very, very weird. And let me ask you a question, because right now Trump's on a roll. It just ain't no other way to describe it.
Snowball.
Democrats won't want to admit it, but the guy's on a roll. Mm-hmm. money's flowing in. You got people coming out of the woodwork that you never thought would ever in a blue day support Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got Silicon Valley, you got this, you got that. I've said there's only three things that could screw up Donald Trump from winning this election. A, how he performs in the debates. And granted, he's still got one more.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got one more, but he's passed the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Who he picks for the vice president, and if he and his campaign do not take minimizing voter fraud and mail-in balloting seriously. Okay.
Great.
In your estimation, where do you think, I mean, just looking at Trump's campaign now, 4 months out, because we're just about to July, let's just be honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just a little over 4 months away. Where do you think he's at? What has he got to worry about?
Oh man, that's a great question. I haven't really thought about that because my mindset has been what's next as far as what the Democrat Party is going to do.
That's true.
Is going to do, because part of it is you got to react to what's coming, and if you don't know what's coming, you can't really react.
True.
But seeing that he does know who he's dealing with, and it seems like he has a very effective team, even better this time around, but because history can be a teacher.
I'll agree with that.
I would say, as far as what he has to worry about, is them, number one, trying to imprison him, which he's open for.
I agree with that.
Are we going to have, and I hope I'm not going to sound like an alarmist, but I'm going to kind of raise an alarm. What happens in this country, for example, a terrorist attack, which the FBI director's been coming out with. Okay, that's going to divert a lot of people's focus to that, which is going to give Biden an opportunity to start acting like he's a wartime president. And, that's when a lot of presidents, if they was having a like with Bush, for example, when September 11 happened,
yeah,
his popularity was basically tanking, and lo and behold. So I think Trump has to be ready for anything that's coming his way, because all the guns are going to come blazing. What I think he has working for him right now has been, he does look like the victim in this case, but he also looks like, for some people, I don't know if the word prophet is actually applies here or is the proper word, but I'm just going to use it for this conversation. Is
sure.
He foretold us about the deep state back in 2016, 17, when he got in the presidency, 18, 19, etc. And it actually went from being the swamp to the deep state. So I think as long as Trump continues to, one of the other things that's been very good for him, that has really boded very well for his success up to this point, aside from being labeled a criminal, basically, is that he has been holding, and I've never seen nor heard of this ever happening. He's been doing these rallies since he left office in 2020. I've never seen or heard of someone basically running for office for 4 years before. So
that's
as long as he stays, that's what I thought. I was like, I've never seen this before. So I think that's been the best. Again, aside from the criminal issues, the court case issues, he has stayed relevant in the minds and in the eyes of the people. They coming out supporting him. If something else big happens, especially towards him, but if something else big happens, and he's there to basically play savior or provide some solutions, which he will, which he already has too, I think that's going to really help catapult him into this election season. That's my personal opinion.
Do you think he sees jail time because of Manhattan?
I was a month ago, I thought so. I really thought, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you what your opinion is on that too. But when the Bragg came against him, and the jury came out and said, yes, we found him guilty of all 34 counts. I was like, okay, yep, he's fixing to serve some jail time. I really thought that. But now, no. Why?
Yeah, why?
It's going to blow them up. I think they're too scared to do it. Personally, the Democrats. I mean, on what standings? I mean, literally, yes, they got the 34 counts, but how can you really hold him? Now I can see house arrest.
I can see that.
I don't see jail now at this juncture. I just think unless they want to push us into civil war. So, I mean, it's kind of up in there based on, I feel like when you say you tearing up the pages out of your book, a political book, my expectations of certain things has really been ripped from me as well. So I kind of tread carefully in some of my predictions. I kind of keep them mostly close to my vest just because I've been wrong. Because I think this play is about to happen and it goes a different direction. It goes better than I expected in some certain cases, but it goes a different direction. So, short of any greater attacks upon Trump, and I think he does well to continue to stay relevant. He continues to keep cranking out the videos because he's given a lot of. I know a lot of people didn't see that in the debate. Some people, but he has a number of videos where he said, "My first day in office, I'm gonna do this." Forbes.com, I think it's ForbesNews.com, I believe it is, on YouTube, posts a lot of his videos. Of course, you can go to his True Social, but he talks a lot about the actual solutions in addressing every single issue that's on the table right now. He already talked about what he do with the border. He's already talked what he do with fentanyl, what he do with the economy, what he's going to do with jobs. He's talked about all of those things. So if you put all that together, which most people won't do, but if you put all that collage together, you will see ready-made solutions that he's going to implement once he's back in office. So I think he's just relevant by continually putting himself out there. Keep doing these rallies in places like he did in the Bronx. Go to Chicago. He's been invited by the citizens to go and do there. Just keep doing what he's doing. I think that bodes well for him.
Well, I agree with you. Let me get a couple things in before I give my take on this. Marion Holtzman over on the Rumble side, thank you very much for that extremely generous Rumble rant. Good seeing you, Brian. Nice meeting you, Darius. I'll find you here on Rumble. Darius, are you on Rumble yet, brother?
Not yet. I want work. I'm a little slow-footed on it, but I'll get it.
That's fine. That's fine. But yeah, Marion, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll drop doggone it. I had a banner all set up for you too. Dude, my apologies. I should have ran that thing. Let me grab your YouTube link and I will drop this in chat for the benefit of both sides. Marion, if you happen to catch this after the fact, this is the link to his channel on YouTube. And I'll put the same thing in here on the YouTube's chat itself. But thank you for that very kind Rumble rant. That's just, oh my word. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy when anyone does something like that, but that's just like, bless your heart. And that's not the Southern way of saying you silly thing. Now, Gypsy sent me something, and you've probably seen this. Now, let me set this up if you haven't. This was post-debate, okay?
Okay.
And it's a 21-second video, apparently went out on TikTok. This is Joe Biden post-debate. Check this out. I think we're both going to find this to be fairly funny.
Here we go. You got to watch this girl right here in the jean jacket. Watch her very closely. Now watch.
Meantime, up next, we're talking about the hottest topics of the night.
Watch the face.
Was it
Ooh, mercy. I gotta back that up. I mean, that's just too good. I'm playing that again. Hang on. Here we go.
Watch the face.
Was it
She knows.
Yeah, exactly. She knows. She give it that whole Lord have mercy, this man. That is, if Trump and his people do not put, I agree with Gypsy. If Trump and his people do not put that in an advertisement, they are wasting it. That is wasted gold right there, baby.
Yep.
Oh my word.
I love it.
Oh gosh. That's just absurdly funny.
I love it. I wish they had show more of that. Again, I like it when it's truth and when it's natural. It's not contrived. It's not scripted.
Yeah.
You just go with the flow. You got people who, I mean, I like one of the things I plan on doing is kind of doing a as we get closer to the November election is to do a comparison. I want people to listen like we did this debate. I actually want to take some of Trump's speech comments, things he said he was going to do for the country, and I want to take Biden some of his speeches. I say, people, you decide who you think is the better option for a better candidate for president. Because and then I want to show some of these things here, these clips. I know if she was singing his praises, CNN would show it, MSNBC would show it.
Oh yeah.
So if she got over there and she started hating on Trump, saying, "Oh, I think like the gentleman, the Spanish gentleman, if she can get up there and hate on him, they would be promoting it all over the place over Trump. They'd be promoting it." So I love those moments because they're natural, they're genuine.
Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, you mentioned something that I think a lot of people in their mind when they go to vote are gonna either before, during, or when they're in the ballot box, they're gonna do a quick comparison in their mind. They're gonna remember the 4 years of Donald Trump, low inflation, low gasoline prices, easier to get things in the stores, wages were going up, I could take my family to various places and enjoy it. Versus and relative peace at home and around the world versus Joe Biden, high inflation, higher gas prices. I can't get nearly as much food when I go to the grocery store. I can't take the kids to the place I want to take them when I go on vacation.
Right.
We've got a southern border that's wide the heck open. We've got troubles in Ukraine, and we're pumping billions into there. We got troubles in Israel. That's just about ready to blow up.
Yeah.
Who am I going to vote for? I'm voting for the other guy because I didn't have nearly the problems that I haven't got now.
I mean, you got an excellent list too. I need to write that all down. You rambled it off. Some of it I remember right off the bat. Some of the other stuff I have to write it down because these are excellent points to bring up for people who are saying, "Why do you follow Trump or support Trump?" And again, this is bigger than Trump. We want to keep that also before the people.
Yeah.
It's not just about Biden or just about Trump. It's about us. It's about our families. It's about the country and our future. And we have seen there's been a tale of two presidencies. That's what I call one of my videos I did, a tale of two presidencies, because you can actually compare. Like you brought up again, Trump did this, 4 years of peace, set everything you just listed off, and now we're experiencing Biden's presidency. If Biden was better than he is now, I would give the man kudos for the good he's doing, but I can't point anything out.
You bring up a great point, and there was one line in that debate that I thought was probably arguably Trump's best moment when he looked at the moderators and said, "I really wish he was a great president, so I wouldn't have to be here doing what I'm doing now to save the country." 100%. I thought, oh, dang. That line, and he said it a couple of times for emphasis, and I watched it and I went, oh my goodness, that's an amazing point. If you're somebody that's not really paying attention, I mean, I really wish Joe Biden were a great president because I wouldn't have to be standing here doing what I'm doing right now, and I wouldn't be going through what I've been going through right now.
Exactly, Brian. No, go ahead. I'm glad you.
Please go ahead.
I agree 100%. I thought that was one of the most defining moments in that entire debate as well, because he just said, I didn't run for power. I didn't run for more fame. I didn't run for money. I didn't run to get into useless fights, endless fights. No, I ran because I said I saw the need to. Matter of fact, if I remember correctly, Oprah Winfrey in the late 1980s, did an interview with then Trump. They was trying to get him to run for president then. That's when he was famous with the media and all of that. He said, I will run if my country needs me to. That's what his main point was, is I see everything he was saying about China that he's saying today, he said back then, about 40 years ago, nearly 40 years ago. And I'm looking at this, and he said, I will run if my country needs me to. So he is saying, Joe Biden, I could be, he could have been doing his properties, he could have been playing more golf, he could have been on the beach somewhere. Instead, because of you, I decided to run. because what I saw Obama was doing. Actually, it was Obama first. Obama, I saw that my country needed me. And I even remember, I think it was Trump said it or Melania said it. I think Trump said it. He said him and his wife was talking. And she said, Donald, if you run for office, you're going to win.
Mhm.
That's what she said before 2016.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that quote. Absolutely.
So the country's in this position is because it's for so many different factors. And the conspiracy theories are true. Matter of fact, real quick, I have been doing a test lately, probably since last year. I would ask
Mhm.
some of my friends, some of the people have been able to have some of these conversations with. I said, let me ask you a question. Let's say Trump did win, which he did in 2020. Let's say he was in office, and it's
Mhm.
3 years later. We're at where we're at right now, and the country's in a completely different state. I said, if I had told you, I'm your friend, I'm honest. I ain't say I get everything right all the time, but let's just say I'm trustworthy, of course. And I say to you, well, if Trump didn't win, this is where the country will be right now. This, and that. Biden would have did this, and that. We would have had war. We would be at World War III levels. There'll be a lot of murderers coming across the border. The economy would be tanking. If I told you all of this stuff would happen, would you believe me? Knowing my credibility, would you believe me? Knowing I wouldn't try to mislead you, would you believe me? Every person I asked, Brian, they had a moment of hesitation. That was enough for me to say, I know you wouldn't believe me as much as you would want to. You would have to think about it and you'd be like, yeah, but I said, I know that. That's the problem. I said, this is why the deep state have been so good at what they do. They studied the people and they said what makes people tick and what makes them talk. Hence TikTok. What makes them tick and what makes them talk. And they said, okay, if we want to control the minds of the people, we have to control the flow of information.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's just, and there's so many things about this election that I find fascinating. It's a generational election. It's a contrast election. It is it's probably the purest ideological election. I don't even know if ideological is the right word now that I stop and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, this is just what we've got now. People have said, how do you define Donald Trump ideologically? Is he conservative? Is he a conservative?
Right.
I don't know that you call Donald Trump a conservative. No, and I mean this in sincerity. I really don't know that you can.
Right.
You could call him probably the best, right off the top of my head, transactionally pragmatic. Now, here's what I'm getting at. Trump isn't necessarily thinking about, is it liberal, is it conservative? What's the common sense? In other words, what is the best thing that we could do given the situation, short and long term?
Right.
Take all that information, and he listens to a lot of different people, which sometimes drives guys like me crazy, because some people I don't think he ought to be listening to, but okay, your prerogative. Then distill that down, make a decision, and roll with it. Now, more often than not, Trump's instinct takes him to what most of us would call a conservative position.
Right.
And by the way, I gotta say hello to the professor. Christian Watson's in the house. Good to see you, sir. Trump is a 90s liberal Democrat or a Rockefeller Republican. Christian, you're probably right, but for some reason I'm balking at the idea of calling him a Rockefeller Republican. I can no, and I'm not saying as to bust your chops.
Yeah,
I can see where you're going with that. I don't think I could sit here and call Donald Trump an ideological conservative. I could call him a transactional pragmatist.
that sounds good.
And TBA over on Rumble saying more like a Kennedy Democrat. Okay, now that I could see. That I could more see. But again, I'm Christian. I'm not gonna fight you on descriptions here. But I mean, I think the general point being, no one really looks at Donald Trump and says, "Yeah, he's a flaming ideological right-wing conservative." That's not Trump. That's not him.
No.
I think he's somebody that looks at the situation and says, all right, what's the common sense in this matter? What do we do? Let's
Brian,
fix
I
it.
agree.
We can better move on.
No, I agree with you. I mean, that's I thought about it. I honestly haven't given that a thought. I just know that in my thoughts about Trump, I just know that we think a lot alike on certain things.
Yeah.
Such as what he's running on. Everything he has said in terms of, well, for the most part, what he said and how to run this country, how to address problems and issues. He always used that one word, is common sense. And so I like a transactional. He said this back. He's told the media this before plenty of times. I used to give and make donations to both the Democratic Party or the Republican Party.
Yep.
Why? Transaction.
Yeah.
Man.
He freely admits it. He's like, yeah, I've given to a lot of politicians over the years. Are you trying to buy politicians? Yeah. And when I heard that answer, I went, that's the most honest thing I think I've ever heard come out of somebody's mouth running for president of the United States. And I think Gypsy sums up what this election gets down to. Are you fighting for the Constitution or not? That to me, I mean, I started to say the word ideological election. Yeah. No, to me, that this is a simple choice. What you have on one side is supposedly benevolent despotism. Yep. That's what Joe Biden represents. That same kind of Carter-esque mindset that if we micromanage everything from the federal government here in Washington, D.C., we can tell you how to make your life better. And, you know, if you take the gas stove out of your house because, you know, climate change be bad, and if you limit freedom, and if you do this, then your life will be so much better. That's one side of the argument. That's Biden.
Right.
The other side of the argument is what I call individual liberty.
Yes.
I may not make the right decision all the time, at least in the eyes of the world, but it's my freedom to make that decision.
Right.
If I want a gas stove in my house, I'm going to put a gas stove in my house.
Right.
If I want to travel to this, or if I want to use a gasoline powered car, that's my own business. If I want to buy an electric car, fine. I've got my reasons. Here you go. Right. It's just, you know, this is the supposed benevolent despotism of the state versus individual freedom. That's what this election gets down to. And, you know, without trying to put too fine a point on it, depending on how America votes on this one is probably going to determine a lot about how successful a country we are, or if we're just continuing down the road of managed decline. You know, that to me, you know, people say all the time, the most important election in our lifetime, to which usually I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think we've used all the mulligans in the golf bag. This one's kind of serious. We're here. Let's get down to it, you know?
Right. And you can feel it in the air.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You have to be completely oblivious and disconnected not to see it. Something is happening. Yeah. And a part of it is not good. So no, I agree. And I'm afraid for concern more about this next generation, because aside from the TikTok experience, them get on TikTok and things of that nature, they don't pay a lot of attention to the real world. You know, they want to get back to the video games, get back to watching their favorite YouTuber or their favorite whoever it is, favorite, I forget the word right now, but their favorite celebrity, whoever.
Sure.
And they don't want to talk about or deal with these real life issues. Once again, this is what in my observation, this is what has boded so well for the deep state actors, is that as long as they can keep you distracted with, hey, no, just take care of home, go to work, go to school, take care of your family, go to bed, wake up and repeat, rinse and repeat. Let us take care of the rest of it. They have this globalist mentality, or as you called a little bit ago, despotism, totalitarianism, world viewpoint. What I'm seeing is just their control is continually growing, and our independence, as you put that very well, Brian. I'm seeing our freedoms are shrinking every few months.
Yeah.
During this presidency, that's what I'm seeing. And every year it's gotten worse. And so think about it once again, what the Supreme Court just said the other day about censorship and the government.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about this next give or take 4 months. The question is how much controls will the government have? How much will our voices be constricted or constrained leading up to that, to the election? Are we going to have, as they're trying to do, talking about false flags, are we going to have another pandemic, another scare that they've been trying to implement over the past couple of weeks about, okay, the bird flu? And come on, man. You know, are we going to have a major financial fallout? You know, something that's going to happen in that, or are they going to really push this war with Russia? Or are we going to have a terrorist attack? Something's going to cause us to be locked down. And so then we're going to have to stay home and do the mail-in ballot stuff again. I mean, those are the things I'm thinking about. I'm excited on one end because I do personally believe we're going to see some good things happen. This is all done. And I'm talking about this year. I ain't talking about next year.
I agree. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm concerned for the people who don't pay as much of attention as we do, and have really no interest. They just want to wake up out of the nightmare and hope it's over with. It ain't gonna happen that easily. So that's my concern for people from that standpoint.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Marion Holtzman has subscribed to your channel. She popped back in. Well, she hasn't left, but she said, yeah, just want to let you know I found Darius' channel on YouTube and I have subscribed. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here watching this right now, or maybe you're going to be watching this later on and you're not subscribed to Darius' channel, we're running a crawler across the bottom of the screen. That's where you can find him on Twitter. That's where you can find him on YouTube. Subscribe to him in both places. You know, his content is good and he's working to make it even better. So let me talk about this. You got on the Supreme Court, and we'll touch on this briefly for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like you. That decision the Supreme Court handed down on I mean, I call the case commonly Missouri v. Biden. No, it's Murphy v. Missouri.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Murphy v. Missouri. I'm sorry. They just screwed the pooch on that one. They really did. They just ain't no other way as describing it. And the part that got me the most, the one line in there that Amy Coney Barrett, and I tell you what, Trump did a lot of good things in 4 years, but I'm sorry, picking Barrett was probably one of the worst mistakes he ever made.
It's scary.
But anyway, there's this one line in her opinion, and it said, well, these acts of telling people to take things down from social media happened in 2021. And when people started pointing out in 2022, it had lessened by then. So to which, my comment was, so let me get this straight. There's a statute of limitations on when and how you can violate the First Amendment.
Bust them, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. If you violate the First Amendment's, protection of freedom of speech, you violate. It doesn't matter if someone finds out 3 years after the fact or, they did it 5 minutes ago. If the government violates the right to freedom of speech, they violated the freedom of speech. And they brought 2,000 different examples, pieces of evidence,
right, to
the Supreme Court saying, hey, we can show you where the government, absolutely told social media, take this down, take this down, take this down, take this down. Mm-hmm. And how did the Supreme Court get out of dealing with it? Oh, well, these individuals don't have standing to bring a suit. Now I'm sitting there going, then who the hell does? Pardon my French. I mean, we're talking about the Surgeon General of the state of Missouri. We're talking about doctors. We're talking about various government officials in states. Mm-hmm. If they don't have standing to bring this suit, who does?
Exactly.
I'm like, there were some decisions they've handed down so far this term. And again, I'm no expert on Supreme Court matters. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a guy that reads the news and I have my opinion. But man, they have absolutely just ducked some very big stuff. The Idaho decision on the question of emergency rooms and abortion.
Oh yeah,
they ducked that one. They ducked free speech and social media through Murphy. Mm-hmm. I mean, this whole you don't have standing, therefore we do not have to answer this question. I'm like, you chickens.
See that? That's what, Brian. Do you think they are threatened? Do you think they're bribed? I mean, we know they're threatened because there was a guy who was arrested a year or two ago who was going after Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
So do you think that They're human too. So do you think they're actually catering to the possible threats or bribes? If people on the outside, like regular citizens, can threaten them, that wouldn't you think or consider, or don't you think they and consider that you have politicians or other people, unelected bureaucrats who have or in powerful places who may have gotten to any of these judges?
Okay.
And I know how conspiracy
After what's happened in the past, call it, let's see, Kavanaugh was put on in what, second or third year of Trump's presidency? I think it was the third. I think it was the third year of Trump's presidency. What's happened in the past, call it 6 or 7 years, where you have, people protesting in the halls of Congress during confirmation hearings. You have hearings being disrupted by protesters. You have justices being sworn in at the Supreme Court after the confirmation vote, and you have people beating on the doors of the Supreme Court trying to get in. You have an assassination attempt on Kavanaugh.
Yes.
You have protesters in front of their houses, by the way, in violation of federal law.
Yes.
I think that's one major factor why they're ducking some of these cases. The other is, I just think it's just plain old arrogance. We don't want to deal with it. No, I'm serious. I mean, Justice Thomas has been, I won't say screaming it, but more or less screaming it in his opinions, is like, when are we going to take on some of this stuff?
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Right.
They're asking us for a ruling. Let's give them a ruling. And it's,
and they've gone after him mercilessly. If you are black, and I hate to bring up the race card, but this is part of it. No. If you are black and you conservative minded, they attack you.
Yeah.
If you're black and Democratic minded, they cater you and they lift you up. They praise you and they make you the face of their party.
Mm-hmm.
As a man and as a black man, I take that very offensively. So, but Clarence Thomas, I applaud him for his. I ain't say I agree with every single thing the gentleman has said, but
sure.
Generally speaking, he is given some excellent decisions on a number of good cases, and I applaud him. Even when they went after his wife, I applaud him for still standing his ground.
Yeah, I do too. And it's going to be a tragedy when that man retires from the court.
Oh, man.
I mean, it really will. And I absolutely agree. Various commentators have said this, and I can't disagree with them. John Roberts might be the Chief Justice in title, but that court belongs to Clarence Thomas.
Real talk.
Ideologically, that court belongs to Thomas. Does that mean he gets him to do everything he wants to do? No.
Right.
No. But more or less, he's the intellectual force on that court. He really is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just, let me ask you this. We're talking about generational stuff, and I think we touched on this the last time you were here. People are having their eyes opened on one thing, and not even necessarily politics. I'm just talking culture.
Right.
I mean, to bring it back to Amber Rose, social media influencer, model, TikTok, whatever. She comes out and endorses Trump. Okay, which again, one small example. But take Trump out of the equation. Where do you think the African American community is right now, moving forward after this election?
I think mostly, especially with the men.
Mm-hmm.
I hope a lot of ladies, a lot of women begin to come on board more. There are some; they're definitely doing that. But if someone's like Trump stays in office, stays in office, and helps really address the issues that concern us, where we actually feel like we're part of the community and not a separate group, then I think there's a promising future. But if you have someone who stays in power or gets in power, stay in power, like from the Democratic side, who always wants to pinpoint, racism, being a second class citizen type ideology, you keep that going forward. You keep that. Again, let me say this real quick. I know there are issues with people. Okay, I've experienced it in my professional career. I have family members, some who grew up back in the day in that not Jim Crow, but a family who grew back up in the 60s, 70s eras. So I have some people close to me who have been by, if they got pulled over by a cop driving through a certain small town, being in Texas,
Sure. Mhm.
have faced some issues. So let me say this: I know there are people with issues. I would never say there aren't, but in my household, we were not raised. Again, I know I made this point last time we was on here. I was not raised to be a victim. I was raised just to be aware of what's going on in the world and how to handle myself.
Yep.
Other than that, um, if we're treated like we are actually a part of the American community, I actually put up a short video maybe a week or two ago. My channel did just ask a simple question: how come I cannot just be seen as an American voter? Why you have to identify me as a black voter? Why are we going across the board saying, okay, you got the African American, you got the black, you got the white, you got the Asian, all this other stuff? Those are all divisive points, whether it's intended to be that way or not. And I do believe it's intended. We should be treated as people. So if you have someone who's in office who focuses on that, and I'm glad for the Byron Donalds and West, I forget his last name, the other gentleman, black conservatives who are speaking out using that platform. If you treat us like people, you truly care about us, then a promising future for the African American or black community.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
So otherwise, no. It's going to be.
Yeah. Very true. No, I think there are some good days ahead, and I'm not just saying that because I think this politician ought to be elected or that politician ought to be elected. I think there are people having their eyes open to a lot of different things.
Oh, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brian.
Go right ahead.
Because your question was broad. You left it open. Generally speaking, is I think I might talk about some of this. You're absolutely right. In the spiritual world, from a spiritual standpoint, you see a lot of pastors who's falling now. Okay, in the black community as well as in the Caucasian community, etc. But you're seeing blacks are definitely known for their religious beliefs. Their Christian beliefs. You're seeing a lot of that happen. You're seeing in the music world, people like P. Diddy coming down, being brought down. And part of it to me started with Cat Williams with that explosive interview that he had with Shannon Sharp on his program, on his show. And so since then you had Monique come out. So you had a number of people coming out. And so some of the people who've been looked up to for their success, you got the Oprah Winfrey's. I'm just hearing things about her, Tyler Perry. I mean, when I see all of this, this is what I call a convergence happening. I think we're at a point as the African American community, we have to make a decision where we're going to go, which direction we're going to go, regardless, politically, spiritually, professionally, family-wise, because even as a community, the African community has been segregated. And I think, what's her name? I think it's Mary something back in the 40s and 50s who came up with I think it's Alice Bailey. I want to say that. I may be wrong, but anyway, came up with the idea about abortion, especially in the black community.
Margaret Sanger.
Thank you, Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger come up with this idea, and she begins to help destroy the black community from that standpoint. I understand that before Martin Luther King came out, some of this history I'm actually starting to learn as of recent. Some of it last year, some of it the year before. Where before the civil rights movement, there was a lot of black people who were very successful.
Yeah.
Thriving, like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, for example.
Harlem, New York. Harlem, New York was at one time known as one of the greatest economic and cultural centers for African Americans in the whole of the United States.
Wow. See, I didn't know that. I'm from learning though. Yeah.
Gypsy's got a couple of channels that we need to check out. Now, this one sounds extremely interesting. Surviving the Rookery. That should be fairly interesting to check out. Now, this gentleman, I don't get to watch all of his stuff all the time. Oh, okay. It is the Black Conservative. Okay. All right. So that's what he calls the show. Okay. Surviving the Rookery. Absolutely.
Hey.
Yes. Absolutely. There you go.
Thank you, Gypsy.
Oh, goodness. Brother, I tell you what, let's bring this train into the station.
All right.
Where can people find you on social media? What can they do to help you out in your efforts? What can they do to spread the good word about what you're doing?
Well, you just follow the line that Brian put up at the very bottom of your screen. Check out my YouTube channel, Real Talk with Darius, and on Twitter. Most of them on YouTube right now. I'm always over there saying something, working on putting. I'm going to start doing more videos with just me on there, and I'm eventually get set up like where I like to. I'm gonna get Brian on there. He's gonna join the Real Talk family and share his thoughts and knowledge over there as well. But you can check me out there, and then check me out at Real Talk with Darius on Twitter. Sometimes I do some things on TikTok, but I'll get with y'all on that later. So anyway, the way you can support me, just watch the channel. If you like anything on there, I do not just talk politics. I'm a spiritual person, so I post videos from my church. Also, I may like a little comedy. I'm trying to be. The way my channel is set up, there's several things I like, and I believe other people share those same interests, and I just post some of those videos spiritually, politically, comedy, sometimes sports. So if you like any of those subjects, jump in, give me a shout, subscribe if you like it, and then also share the videos.
So how heartbroken were you when the Dallas Mavericks got their butts kicked by the Celtics? I gotta ask you, man. I gotta ask you.
It hurt. It hurt.
Yeah, my Celtics looked real good in that series, baby.
Hey, I thought the Celtics I think on both sides of the ball, they were the better team.
No, I agree.
Like it, I kudos to them. I respect those guys. Never been a Celtics fan. I like Larry Bird, but I've never been a Celtics fan. And so when I thought that Texas had another opportunity like my Cowboys, I said,
Lord, don't even talk to me about the Cowboys, man. That's just wrong. That is so wrong.
Woo! So it hurt a little bit. It hurt.
Now, I will say this. I mean, look, I didn't necessarily get to see every game or every play or whatever, but Luka is going to be an NBA champion before it's all said and done. He will, and that franchise going to win another one. Now, whether Luka's going to be there when it happens or not, I hope he is. I mean that in all sincerity. I hope he is. Mm-hmm. He is a tremendous player.
He really is.
But yeah, I mean that they just got outgunned in that whole thing. They really did.
Well, when you have a team that can play both sides of the ball, I know in sports you hear the term that defense wins games. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Solid defense can help you win. So Boston was pretty good on both sides of the ball, and mostly they was the better defensive team. And that's what I think helped put them over.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Darius, hang around for a second. We'll say some proper goodbyes. Right. Everybody, I want to thank you once again for stopping by the Electronic Front Porch for this session of Chatting on the Porch. Thanks to everyone for their Rumble rants, for their very kind contributions, for their comments, for the links. You guys are the best audience on the internet. We will be back Monday, 7:30 Eastern for Chatting on the Porch, catching up on the weekend's news because the Sunday shows are going to be real interesting tomorrow. Anyway, love you guys, and remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday night.